When I first got here, one of the art teachers said, the only thing in my budget is white paper. And now our arts program is rated statewide, nationally recognized because of all that we provide.
Welcome to episode 85 of the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon. I'm proud to begin with the LorainCounty.com champion sponsors who support this podcast and many community projects. Emerge Inc., Lorain County JVS, Lorain County Community College, Lorain County Community Foundation, Lorain County Commissioners, and WOBL Radio. Today, we are talking with Dr. Jeff Graham, Superintendent of the Lorain City School District. Join us as Dr. Graham talks about his background, the unique character of the Lorain School District, and the priorities and initiatives currently in focus, including tackling chronic absenteeism. He shares insight on creating a nurturing and safe learning environment, the challenges and opportunities of schooling in an urban district, and the progress being made in arts, STEAM, and personalized education, as well as the importance of technology, community partnerships, and collaborative leadership. I'm a proud graduate of Lorain City Schools, and both of my parents taught at Lorain High. During my senior year of high school, all 5 members of my family were at Lorain High. My parents as teachers, me as a senior, and my 2 brothers as a sophomore and a freshman. Lorain has changed a lot in the years since I graduated. In the past 30 years, Lorain's population has declined over 10%. Major employers like the steel mill have closed, and unemployment is often above the county and state average. All of these have impacts on the school system. But Lorain is a resilient city. Dr. Graham talks about how Lorain greets with hugs. In just the hour that I was at the school, I exchanged hugs with 2 friends that I had not seen in many years. That sense of connection is what makes Lorain strong. And it's the same sense of connection Dr. Graham is working to nurture in the schools, so that students feel supported and know they belong. Here is my conversation with Lorain School Superintendent, Dr. Jeff Graham.
My name is Jeff Graham. I'm the Superintendent of Lorain City Schools.
Welcome, Superintendent Graham. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights. To begin, how would you describe the character of Lorain City Schools, and what do you think makes it a unique and special place?
I think our schools mirror our community. And when people ask me what I love about the Lorain City Schools, and if you don't know my story, I'm going to give you a longer answer than you probably bargained for. I started in 2015, literally the day after I was hired. The state law changed and we were in academic distress. We had a commission to deal with, which appointed a state-appointed CEO. And at that time, I was superintendent. The state appointed a CEO. My position was eliminated, and I went away and was blessed to find a job in another community that I truly loved. But things opened up here, and I just pounced at the opportunity to come back when I was asked to. And people ask me why. What's my infatuation with Lorain and Lorain City Schools? And the way I describe it is it's a community where everybody hugs everybody, and they mean it. I watch strangers be introduced at the local meetings, and it's not a handshake, it's a hug. It's a community that truly cares about one another. And when I first took the job in 2015, I told the board I could not move here. I made a promise to my kids when I became a superintendent 22 years ago now. The average tenure for a superintendent was 2.2 years. And we moved my family to that district, and I promised my kids I would not move them every 2.2 years. So I still had a daughter in high school and actually middle school at the time. So I made the hours drive, and it was well worth it. And when I came back in 2020, again, after I was invited to come back and be the CEO and superintendent, the first thing I did was we bought a house in town. I don't want to be anywhere else. And actually, I still had a daughter in high school. And actually, it was her idea. Dad, how about we do this? You just get a house there, and then we'll drive back and forth. So I would drive her an hour to school. Then I would turn around, drive an hour back, do my superintendent thing. And then after school, and she was involved in sports year-round, I would drive an hour, pick her up, and come back. So that was 4 hours a day, but it was great time spent with my daughter, and I'm in a community that I love. So very long answer to your simple question, but it's just a community that I just adore the values of the people that are here, and I want to be a part of it.
What are some of the key priorities and initiatives that you and your administration are focused on right now?
For us, I would say our biggest challenge is attendance. We have the highest chronic absentee rate in the state. When kids miss school, we make home visits to find out what the obstacles are to get in the way of that so we can try to remove those obstacles. And they're all over the place. There's not like one big reason why. I think it stems from, not to blame COVID for everything, but there was a time when we said, if you have the sniffles, don't come to school. And so I think people got used to that a little bit, trying to encourage kids to be here and ensure the value of being in school on a daily basis is one of our biggest challenges.
How do you define success at Lorain City Schools? What are the metrics and outcomes that are most important to you and your administration?
Started our strategic plan when I came back in 2020, but obviously it was in the midst of COVID, so we had to figure out how to teach kids remotely. So I took away from our focus a little bit. But for us, it's culture is huge for us. And we want to create a place where people feel safe and feel loved and cared for. And I think that in doing that, obviously there's a direct impact between that and attendance. But our metrics, for us, we have a lot of kids who start way below grade level, even in kindergarten. So for us, it's not about necessarily hitting the benchmarks in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. But what we should be doing is demonstrating more than a year's worth of academic growth in a year. And we do. By the time they get to high school, then they should be caught up. Our graduation rate was the highest last year that it's been since 2008, I think. And we are doing a great job of monitoring exactly where kids are, providing their specific, unique needs. Because I think even in a district our size, we're not that large, but we need a personalized education. So whatever your needs are, it might be different than somebody else's needs. And our job is to make sure that we meet those. And I think the data supports that we do that. So our graduation rate is high. We have an early college program that you can graduate with an associate's of arts or science without leaving our school. Our numbers are higher now than they've ever been. We have our own career tech programs here. Our numbers are higher than they've been. I think when you look at our growth metrics, and when you look at our success metrics at the end of the day, things are trending very strongly in the right direction.
So schools serve many different constituencies, students probably the most important. From your perspective, what are the most significant opportunities and challenges facing students right now in Lorain school districts, and how are you working to support their success?
When you look at opportunities, and something else that we've done a great job, and I have to give a shout out to our Assistant Superintendent Ross May, when we hit some financial troubles back in 2010, and as a result, we cut the arts to almost nothing. We had a band at the high school, and not much beyond that. And I remember when I first got here, I would do lunch meetings with staff just to listen to concerns and provide responses. And one of the art teachers said, the only thing in my budget is white paper, just copy paper. So we had some room to grow. And now we've got phenomenal arts opportunities. We are the only district in the state, as I understand it, to offer dance pre-K 12. We have performing arts, visual arts. Our arts program is rated statewide, nationally recognized because of all that we provide. We're also a STEAM school. Every one of our buildings, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We have engineering from pre-K to 12 through Project Lead the Way. As I mentioned before, we have early college for our students. And this is last year's numbers, but I think we ended the year with 1,651 students, but over 500 of them had taken college credits. It's a point along the way. We have career tech programs. We're comprehensive high school. We offer everything. So I think that in terms of opportunities, we are one of a few school districts in the state that offer driver's ed during the school day. And for our children, that's huge because it's not only do we offer it, but the driving component that I know for my children, because I didn't live here at the time, it costs $500. We have all that's free, reimbursed by other agencies. So it's just a blessing for our kids.
As we talked about, both my parents were teachers and retired from Lorain City Schools. What are you hearing from teachers in the district right now, and what kinds of support do they need most to be successful?
I think when you talk about teachers right now, some of the challenges are candidly behaviors. And I think we've grown tremendously. We've got a lot of supports in place, but I read the data that over the last 10 years, the number of children identified with autism is up 20%. And schools are closing. And oftentimes there are needs that children have that can't be met in a traditional school. And because the need has grown and the number of places that can provide education for students with extreme disabilities has decreased, we have to provide it here. So I think trying to keep up with that has been a little bit of a challenge. We've added over the last 2 years, 9 autism units to our district. And finding people with the expertise, we've been blessed to do it because we've been patient and we have very high expectations. When the needs of those you serve change dramatically, we have to keep pace. And trauma-informed care and autism-informed care are two of the focuses of our district.
When you talk with parents and community members, what are some of the common questions and concerns they raise, and what positive feedback and ideas do they share about the district?
I think the questions you've asked are the ones that they ask. They want to know what's going on and what are we doing about stuff. Equity is huge for us, making sure that all of our children have equal access to all of our opportunities. And I know that's a buzzword nationally and statewide, but our job is to take care of children, and we will, to make sure that they get what their needs are. Positive feedback, I think that people vote with their feet. We had 2 independent studies on student enrollment that were done, I want to say 3 years ago. And where they projected us to be was about 5,400 students We are about 6,200 students. So in my mind, I think that's evidence of the fact that we're continuing to earn the trust of our community. The experts thought that our numbers should be this because nationally enrollment in urban districts is on a steady decline and ours is on a very steady and strong increase. So I believe that's evidence of the fact that they trust us. And some of our bigger grades are kindergarten. We have a very strong preschool program and a very high percentage of our students who attend preschool here attend kindergarten here. And I think that's where they expected a drop because live birth data in Lorain has actually decreased as it has in most urban areas. But a higher percentage of our students are choosing to come to our schools. And I attribute that to the fact that we are not who they're told we are. Because we're an urban district, people have a certain image of what an urban district is, and that's not us. We, again, have a very kind, loving, welcoming, warm, and nurturing culture in our schools. And I believe that's obvious to our parents.
So collaboration is crucial in education.
Yep.
What are some of the key community partners and how do you work together to support the schools and the students?
We don't do many things here without partnerships. So we are partnered with everybody. Again, I mentioned that the early college is with LCCC. They're a great community partner. We've got partnerships through mentoring groups. I just met with a group of community members who reached out, and we have a dinner program in our district, but because of staffing and some other obstacles, it's in our high school and it could be in other buildings. And I had a community member reach out, Catherine Kennedy, and she's got some ideas on how we can bring more food opportunities to our students based on partnerships that she's creating in the community. So we are very open to partnerships and have them. We have wraparound services. We've got a partnership with QuickMed in one of our schools. We have a nurse practitioner there. So our kids that have medical needs, we transport them from wherever they are to Washington Elementary School. We have dental partners. We have vision partners. So any needs of food partners. So whatever needs our families have, we connect them to them and they get all those things free of charge.
You mentioned you're an urban school district. What are the unique challenges of an urban school district?
Transiency is a big one. What I mean by that is sometimes our kids move often and oftentimes they choose different schools or they go someplace else and they come back. And that's a challenge. So I would say that absenteeism and transiency are two of the biggest challenges in an urban district. And what I mean by the challenges with transiency, first of all, when you move somewhere, it's a transition from one building to another is a lot for a student. And there's an academic impact just being someplace new. But for logistically speaking, there are other challenges that take place. So for example, if I go to a doctor's appointment and they send me to a new doctor because I need to see that person, that doctor can open up his or her laptop and see everything about me medically, right? With the push of a button, everything's right there. It doesn't work that way in schools. So if a student transfers in, we may not even see their file for a couple of weeks. We get a hard copy mailed to us eventually. So we have no idea oftentimes where to place that child if they're in high school. What classes do you need? We have to take the child's word for it. We don't know what their specific unique needs are. We talked about the fact that we personalize education because every child has unique needs, but we don't know what those are. We have to start from scratch. So it's not just being someplace new, which is incredibly challenging for a child, but it's the fact that we don't know what that child needs to the level that we should, as soon as we should. So again, there's oftentimes just weeks lost of trying to figure things out with information that somebody else has. So there are a lot of challenges with just moving from one city to another, one zip code to another.
If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about how education works in Ohio, what would you change?
The funding is what comes to mind first, only because it's just such a hot topic now and where I've spent a lot of my time working with legislators. And there's a lot of money given to private schools, a lot of money given to charter schools. The money given to public schools just continues to decrease. And when you look at where we are compared to other states, as I understand it, our state provides $2,700 less per student than the average around the country. And that's substantial. We talked about wraparound services because urban children who grow up in urban communities tend to have greater needs, statistically speaking, than kids who grow up in the suburbs. So it's the lack of supports and understanding of what we truly need. And I understand property tax reform. Please support it and agree that we're way out of whack when you look at where we are nationally speaking. But when you look at what the state provides for education, we're also out of whack in the progression. So I think that an understanding of what our needs are and supports to have those, to meet those needs.
What are your thoughts on the role of technology in education, specifically the emergence of AI tools in school, both in the classroom and how the district operates?
AI is an amazing opportunity. And we read it in one of our book studies, but somebody phrased it that this is the lowest form of technology our kids will ever know, right? Because it goes in the opposite direction. As soon as we heard about it, we embraced it. It allows our teachers to be better teachers, allows our students to be better learners, allows our adults to be better learners. It allows all of us to be better leaders. It is a blessing, and it will never replace humans. And I think that's one of the concerns that I think teachers in particular have, or parents have, that somehow AI is going to replace the human in front of their children. And no, and I read this somewhere else too, so I can't take credit for it, that AI is not going to replace all the attorneys, but it will replace all the attorneys who don't use AI. So I think it is a tool that, when maximized, I think it is just a godsend. For example, we talk about, I've mentioned a few times, personalizing education. I can type into AI, an educational version of AI, and say, I want a lesson that teaches this particular standard, and I want it to focus on these because they're my students' interests. So I can personalize whatever you like basketball. So I'll say, okay, but focus on basketball, whatever it is, to make sure that you personalize that approach to education. And it's a lot more engaging for kids. Where when I taught many years ago, that wasn't an option. Google didn't exist when I was teaching. So I was getting everything from books. But now you have a study partner, a thought partner that can give you instant responses, instant feedback on how to make this lesson a better lesson. For children, how can I make this learning opportunity more impactful and in greater depth? So we are working on creating a class on AI, and I think the goal is to have it available in middle school and a different version offered in high school. So this is something that we need to embrace and run with.
I know that keeping students safe is a top priority. How does the district approach school safety and security?
Without revealing a lot of secrets, and again, a conversation that we had yesterday, because I mentioned earlier, funding is an issue and we've got some financial issues. So we look at everything very critically. But one position that we looked at in particular is, it's called the SOC position, but we have cameras that can monitor everywhere in the district live. And what that does for us is allows us to be proactive in our response to things as opposed to have to react to things. After COVID in particular, we had a lot of fights because our kids from one part of town during COVID couldn't get to the other side of town. So they had to wait for school to come back so they could have a ride here. But we had very few fights because we have an opportunity to intervene because we're keeping an eye on things. So we've got safety officers, but it comes down to our mantra, as I mentioned earlier, is kindness. You're first, and to quote Ruben Figueroa, our executive director of safety and security, I think really push on our folks, whether you're a teacher, safety officer, paraprofessional, bus driver, administrator, is your first interaction with a student shouldn't be a reaction. It should be, hey, how you doing? So there's relationships that are built. And we don't have major incidents in schools because we have good relationships with our students. And if something's going down, they'll tell us. So we can react to it in a way that is appropriate and not waiting for the drama to unfold and then we have to react to it. So it comes down to healthy relationships.
Let's switch over and talk about you. What's your background and what led you to the superintendent role?
Yeah, I taught physics back in the 90s, so a while back. And I had an assistant principal reach out to me and say, Jeff, have you ever thought about doing what I do for a living? And I said, and all sarcasm aside, I said, John, I have no idea what you do. And he said, I have the opportunity to spend more time with the kids who need more time. And I just finished a master's in curriculum instruction. I immediately went back to school and I got my master's to be an administrator. And I've been blessed to just love every job I've had. I was an assistant principal at high school. I was a principal at high school. I was a superintendent. Been a superintendent now for 22 years. Blessed to be in all the districts I was in. Love it. But I love where I'm at now. I'm happier now than I've ever been. And I, again, have been blessed to have a career that I just love to go into work every day.
In the time that you've been with Lorain City Schools, what are you most proud of accomplishing?
Having a part of building a team of exceptional people, share a value system of caring, but are incredibly competent. And we used to have incredible turnover in this district at the administrative level. And last year we had zero turnover. Every principal, every assistant principal, every central office was the same, which again, I think is a statement that people are happy. And I mentioned that I drove an hour one way and was worth it to be a part of a team that created a culture where people want to be. And again, it's demonstrated in our enrollment. It's demonstrated in our lack of turnover. We attract great people and they stay. This job is all about people. And I think once you realize that, life is a lot easier.
Looking forward, what are your goals for the district? What would you still like to accomplish?
We obviously, attendance is an issue for us. And I do believe that great things are happening in our classroom. So once we figure out this attendance piece, I think that our scores skyrocket. But again, for us, the scores that we focus on are growth. And because we need to get our kids from where they are to where they need to be, and that's not going to happen overnight.
I know Lorain City Schools has close to 1,000 employees. How do you describe your leadership style? What principles guide you and who has influenced your leadership the most?
Collaborative. One of the blessings of being a superintendent, and somebody else gave me this analogy when I was in my administrative courses, that as a high school principal, it's kind of like being a basketball ref. There's a collision, you blow your whistle, you make a decision, you move on. As a superintendent, it's more like the NFL. There's a penalty. You throw your flag up in the air. You watch the play unfold. You huddle up. You talk about it. And you come out making a decision. If I'm the one making all the decisions, then we're clearly not moving fast enough because there are a lot of decisions that need to be made. So I would say my leadership style is very collaborative.
Outside of work, what are your hobbies and interests, and how do they help recharge you?
I have an amazing family, amazing wife, 5 kids. I became a grandpa in January. It's all about family.
Finally, where can people go to get more information about Lorain City Schools and to connect with you?
The easiest way to do it is our website has information. Call me. I will meet with anybody, anywhere, anytime. And whatever your questions are, we'll figure them out together.
Thank you, Superintendent Graham, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LorainCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@LorainCounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.